So, welcome back to the T2 Hub. As you will have seen, we have some videos on the Hub where we tend to focus on a particular topic. Sometimes we're sat at a desk, sometimes we're delivering to the camera, sometimes we're up at a flip chart. But sometimes we like to just sit down, have a coffee, pick a potential subject, see where it goes, and sort of go a little bit off the cuff. So me and Spence are going to talk for a little bit. We're going to see where we go with it, and hopefully you'll get something from it. So let's go with, what do you want to go with?
I'm easy, whatever. But I would say that, wouldn't I?
So let's go with something like being pushed out your comfort zone.
Yeah.
Or pushed too far out your comfort zone, or whatever it might be. The reason why I think that might be an interesting topic to talk about is it happens every day.
Yeah.
Or most days. Can happen inside the workplace, outside the workplace. What do we mean by being pushed out your comfort zone? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Is it not for everybody? Thoughts?
I think we've established, again, with everybody who's worked with us, everybody who's had a T2 experience, I think we've established that everybody's different to a greater or lesser degree. When we start doing our human iceberg days, identifying unconscious motivators and things like that, when you start talking about some people who are like certain things, remember we start talking about challenge and threat state, and some unconscious motivators are more prone to a threat state than a challenge state, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, like, let's talk about something real. Let's talk about us. So, when I come into work on a morning, I know exactly what I'm going to be doing that whole day. I've got it planned in my head.
I know what he's going to say. Yeah.
So I've got it planned in my head exactly how long I'm going to be taking to do certain tasks and do certain things. And then you come in and, not purposefully, but sometimes you'll pull something out and say, right, Spence, what I want you to have a look at today is this. And for you, that is perfectly acceptable.
Yeah.
And you'd be able to, if I did it to you, you'd be like, yeah, no worries.
Yes.
But for me, it's not as if I don't want to do it. It's just that it interferes with what I've already set up for the day.
Yeah.
So that's sort of, it's like an unanticipated request.
Yes. And then I guess as a person who likes to be perfect, correct, and right, and who likes to have a set routine in the day, or at least a to-do list or a focus, being blindsided by me and adding something else into the mix is then pushing you a little bit out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I agree. And as an individual, I don't mind being pushed out of my comfort zone. But what I do sometimes struggle with is if I'm pushed too far out of my comfort zone. So there's certain things that we can do. I can flex. I can be flexible. I can be accommodating to a certain degree. But then sometimes if it's too far out of my comfort zone, then I start regressing a little bit, possibly going into my shadow self.
So something's just come into my head there as we're talking. There's really two types of situations you could be pushed out your comfort zone then. There is spontaneous situations, like the example you just give, where I come in, you're set for the day, and I just drop a bomb at 9:10, and all of a sudden the day takes a different direction.
Yeah.
So that's a spontaneous situation that pushes you out your comfort zone. You don't get much time to think. You've got to respond in the moment, etc. But then there's also the planned or scheduled activity that potentially pushes you out your comfort zone. I.e., you've got to present to the board on Friday.
Yes.
Or you've got the sales presentation with the customer on Thursday. Or whatever it might be, where it's already communicated up front, it's a few days away or some time away. So then you've got time to, although it's going to be out your comfort zone, you've got time to prepare for that, right?
Yeah.
What am I trying to say here? I guess, does it differ? Well, what would you rather have? Is it easy to respond in the moment, or is the further away the event is, the more suspense and anticipation builds, the more threat state? For me
personally, it's definitely the context. I can do either. With, as you said, the more notice I've got, the better planned I can be, the better prepared I can be. But for somebody else like me, it might not be a case of having the time to become better prepared, but having time to start to worry and start to, then mull things over in the head. When we start talking about like hypothetical worries, Well, it's a bit of a grey worry, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because it's something that you do have the power to do something about in the here and now. However, the event itself is in the future.
Yeah.
So,
Because when we do training sessions, we're very mindful that you have to push delegates out their comfort zone a little bit,
yeah.
or to some extent, without it being too aggressive or extravagant.
Yeah.
And likewise, you can't just sit there and be safe throughout the whole experience, where nobody has to be pushed or contribute or take part in something,
Yeah.
because then the learnings doesn't really happen.
No.
You sit safe in your comfort zone. So I guess my view on it is, and I've always viewed it like this, is we talk about challenge and threat state a lot, but I think my view on it is being pushed out your comfort zone happens on a daily or weekly basis. It will either be spontaneous in the moment where you have to react, or it will be planned, which for some people it could be worse. But it's entirely situational. Some people prefer the planned situation. Some people prefer to just act in the moment. I'm very much a person where drop it on me now and let's go. Right?
Yeah.
I can morph and do that. That's fine. Other people might struggle with that.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give, or what's your thought on people pushing themselves outside the comfort zone, outside that safety zone a little bit more? Is it healthy? Is it progressive?
I personally think that I like to use, you may have noticed, but I like to use analogies.
Or very bad jokes?
All very bad jokes, yeah. But I like to use analogies, and I like to compare and contrast. So do you go to the gym?
Used to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still try a few times a
You
week.
exercise, don't you?
Yes, a few
Why
times
do
a
you
week.
exercise?
For me personally, it's not to look good. It's not to defy age or anything like that. I think your physiology affects your psychology.
Yeah.
Strength of body, strength of mind.
Yeah.
So when I'm exercising, I'm better at my job. I'm better cognitively, mindset-wise, positivity-wise. Definitely, that's probably my motivation for it.
So when you start talking to people about why do you exercise, why do you go to the gym, they've usually got a motivator. For you, strength of body, strength of mind. I appreciate that. Some people set themselves a challenge, like completing a marathon or some sort of event. Some people just want to maintain a certain amount of fitness. Some people want to lose weight. But the thing is, there's a motivation there, isn't there? So when you actually set yourself a physical challenge, what you're doing is you're conditioning your body to achieve something. Yeah.
The power of repetition.
Yeah. So you're breaking the muscle down so it rebuilds stronger. So what you struggle with this week, you might be able to next week do with a little bit more ease. So you push yourself even more. Yeah. So eventually, after a certain period of time, you have gone from one point to another point in your physicality. And yes, strength of body, strength of mind, great stuff. However, what about your comfort zone? Because what you're doing is, rather than conditioning your body, you're conditioning your mind. You're conditioning your capabilities. So rather than a physical challenge, we're looking at a mental or emotional challenge. So the more you push yourself out your comfort zone, and again, it's got to be realistic and achievable, but you put yourself out your comfort zone a little bit and then back into your comfort zone, a little bit, come back into your comfort zone, and after a while, that becomes part of your comfort zone. So then you can step out of it a little bit more, step back in, and then start stretching your emotional and mental capabilities.
And this ties into a lot of what we talk about in neuroscience, neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
The brain can evolve. So what is very uncomfortable for us now, or might be an uncomfortable experience or a new experience, like public speaking, like working out or going to the gym, like taking ownership of a department and a team and the responsibility to make decisions, all of these things which push us, there might be a gremlin, to use Steve Peters' words, there might be a gremlin and causes stress release in the early days, but the more we do with them, the more they become an autopilot, and therefore you no longer have to see that as being pushed out your comfort zone, and you move on to another thing. It's like the driving test.
Yes.
The first time you took your driving test, if you was like me, I took 3 times to pass.
4 for me.
4 for you, so I'm in good company. I remember passing my test and absolutely shitting myself. The first time I sat in a car on my own, I was thinking, I can't drive. What am I doing? And when I took my test, my clutch foot was shaking, and it was quite a hard experience for me. Now, at the time, it was because I was out my comfort zone. Whereas now, 15 years on, I drove here this morning on autopilot, thinking about today, playing with the radio.
Yeah.
And I don't even know how I got here, right?
Yeah.
That's an analogy of neuroplasticity.
Yeah,
so what we're saying here is the power of repetition and throwing yourself into the fear and to a certain extent without overloading it is a positive thing.
Certainly.
Because sooner or later then it doesn't become out of your comfort zone anymore. And do you know what? When we do this job, I think we can resonate with this, right? Standing up and delivering in front of people is tough.
Yeah.
It's exposing. It can be out your comfort zone at times. In fact, public speaking is the number one global fear, as we know, right? And if you do it every single day, it can be emotionally and physically draining.
Yes.
It can even be a detriment to your health, to your mindset, all of that type of stuff. Whereas if you do it 2 or 3 times a week and it's planned and prepared and you expose yourself for a limited period of time to it and do that every week, every month for a couple of years, then sooner or later you end up in the position we're in now where we genuinely love it and get fulfillment from it. Because it's no longer out of our comfort zone. Would that be fair to say?
I would agree totally. I would agree totally. I mean, we all, as individuals, we all develop at an individual pace. But sometimes those things like driving, the things we do without thought, we sometimes lose the fact that it's an achievement to do what we do. I mean, let's face facts here. Me, you, the crew, the people watching this film, at one stage in our life, all of us had to be shown how to use a spoon.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is something that we've all got. That was an achievement. At that stage, it was a case of, I'm wearing more of my food than I'm actually eating. But you know what? We got past that in a short space of time. And now we're finding that as we're going through our lives, all these little experiences, bits of knowledge, all these lessons we learn, all go into our little book of references in our head. And sometimes when we're actually looking at these things and thinking, this is going to be difficult, I'm not going to be able to do this, I'm not going to be able to do this. Whether you look at it from a threat state like that or a challenge state, yes, I can do it, but possibly a little bit hesitant. Sometimes we've got to bring these simple things forward and go, you know what? Once I had to be taught how to do this. Now I can do it in my sleep.
I think my wife would agree. I would probably need to go on that spoon course again, maybe revisit that. Okay, so final point to talk about on this before we wrap it up is let's look at the opposite effects then of not pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. So you fear something or you want to avoid being out of your comfort zone. So you go through your life and your career not taking risks, not trying new things, not pushing yourself. We know through psychology then that the opposite can happen. Once you avoid something you deem as a risk, the gremlin in your mind grows because you reinforce the facts of we don't speak in public. Don't do it again, right?
Yeah.
We're no good at speaking in front of a group. We can't do that. So actually, the more you avoid it or the more you turn the opportunities down, the bigger the gremlin grows, which when you then try to encounter it again in the future, the fear is even greater.
Yes, certainly.
Would that be fair to say?
Yeah.
And does this correlate with your time in the military and working with the special forces is in why they are constantly being pushed out their comfort zone? Because
certainly.
they cannot afford to avoid certain situations, right?
Exactly. They've got. There's a reason why they're called special forces. I mean, I've got a great deal of admiration for all members of all the forces, and I think it's a hard job that they do, and they do it anyway. But when you start talking about special forces, you're talking about a step up. You're talking about a special kind of person, and their challenge state is their natural default setting. It's their comfort zone is somewhere where they don't particularly like living. They want to be pushing themselves all the time, and that is why they have become those special people, members of the special forces. I do remember one when I was talking to one guy, an SBS guy actually, and he turned round and we were talking about about challenging yourself and pushing yourself, and because this guy has done it all, sub-aqua, skydiving, mountain climbing, you name it, he's done it. And he said something, and I can't quote it verbatim, but he said something about the sting of regret of not trying something far outlasts the taste of failure when you try it and don't, and try it and fail.
And I love that because it ties in with the thing I always say at the end of a challenge day talk, which is there is no question that the greatest rewards and fulfillment is always on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
We dread doing something, we do it, and we feel great afterwards,
Yes.
even though the build-up was horrendous.
Yes.
And yeah, there's something to be said about that. And certainly in modern day society and workplaces and environments, I think we lose sight of that sometimes. So I guess what we're saying then, Spencer, is overloading yourself outside your comfort zone too much, too often is not good. Avoiding it like the plague is not good.
Yeah.
But finding the middle ground of where appropriate and for small exposures, pushing yourself into the fear and out your comfort zone will allow you to sort of execute the power of repetition.
Yeah.
Neuroplasticity in the brain will start to evolve, and sooner or later it won't be out your comfort zone anymore, and you will create an autopilot for it. I think that's what we're saying.
Yeah. I'd agree. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much.
No, thank you.
See you again.